All right, welcome to Ranting and Raving. Once again, joined by my buddy Bijon. We're going to talk about what is just going to be one of 32 teams in the NFL. That's the best. They are a NFL team, the New Orleans Saints. So, um, you know, I think there's a lot more positive to talk about than I think necessarily I would have expected 2 months ago, but it also does involve some perspective changes. So we are going to talk about our thoughts about this Saints team heading into the regular season now that we've seen all the reports from training camp, a few live practices, an absolute practice beatdown by the Rams, and 3 preseason games. So I think probably the only real way to start this is the most important conversation, but to a certain degree, I think it's also the least important conversation. And that's who's going to be the starting quarterback for the team. So before we each make our picks or opinion on it, I just want to start with you. What is your impression of both guys been? And I say both because for anybody wondering, no one cares about Jake Haener. We're not talking about Jake Haener. Juicy Jake. Well, this will be the last time Jake Haener is mentioned unless I'm crapping on him. But between Spencer and Tyler, what's been your viewpoint of the two of them throughout the preseason games, camp, everything?
Sure. I mean, I think one of the biggest things is Spencer Rattler has 1 year of NFL experience being in an NFL system, seeing NFL defenses, whether it's in practice or what have you. And that generally, I think, shows when they're out there. I don't think either has lit the world on fire. I don't think the roster, even if they were trying to light the world on fire, I don't think the roster gives the proper kindling to do so with whatever lack of receivers, makeshift O-line at times, lack of running game, all that. Tyler Shuck looks like a person who's played 28 games in college. That's kind of what he looks like. He looks like a guy who hasn't had a lot of reps. And that's no indictment on him. It's just you're going to look a tick slower, a tick there. But what I will say is the best thing I can say about Tyler Shuck so far is that I feel like he's gotten better every time that he's seen it. So he started off basically at times they said basically being kind of unplayable in practice, but then every practice he's getting a little better, a little better, a little better. And then same thing in preseason, first preseason game, okay, but then kind of getting better. Is he getting better to the point where I think he could be the starter? I don't think so. I still probably don't think he's ready. And just from a pure developmental standpoint, I think putting him out there is more harm than good. And then, I mean, Spencer, since last year, I think I've looked at Spencer probably with more rose-colored glasses than other people. I still don't know, what he is. I mean, I do know what he is in theory, but I still haven't been able to see Spencer behind a healthy offensive line with Chris Olave for an extended period of time, with Rashid Shaheed for an extended period of time, with a decent defense. I think literally every scenario that he got last year was awful. And I think within the context of that awful situation, I still think he looked generally decent. He looked in control. I didn't see deer in headlights vibes from him. And so I think maybe that's the main thing I can say for him, which is what gives me hope about him, is he never really looks flustered. Though, he might make a weird decision here and there. I feel everything he does is very decisive. And, I prefer a quarterback that is decisive. Be decisively wrong. That's fine. Rather than be right in a tick late. So that's kind of where I'm at with them. But at the end of the day, two very imperfect products. Imperfect products, and together they make up the 32nd best quarterback room in the NFL. And that's not even trying to be cheeky. It's just what it is,
I'm not 100% sure our quarterback room isn't still better than the Colts, but we're bottom two.
Ooh, yeah.
Because Daniel Jones is deep fried ass, and Anthony Richardson couldn't beat out Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I would probably say the Colts one is better, but I would take ours going forward. Is probably the best thing I could say, because Daniel Jones did win a playoff game. So that is, and like there are 0 collective wins on the Saints right now.
Yeah,
Between
I mean,
Shuck and Rattler. You know,
it's
yes, they're younger
a whole
and
different video of like how much I truly hate the idea of quarterback wins.
Oh, same.
But like, I don't really think there's any point in spell like, oh, are we 31 or 32? It's like,
right,
well,
exactly. So
like,
either way,
you got Montezuma's revenge or just really bad diarrhea. Either way, it's a bad day. Like,
yeah.
We don't need to split these hairs.
Yeah.
I think I pretty much agree with all of that. I think, and I want to be really clear on this, just because like I definitely am more biased towards Spencer, just partially because
same.
I really strongly disliked Shuck's college tape for some very specific reasons. I don't just like Shuck at all. Like I couldn't stand Derek Carr as a human. That was a go play in traffic situation. And then he was a bad quarterback on top of that. So it's like, oh, please shut up. I don't have any issue with Shuck as a dude. He seems like a good dude. Like, please fix your facial hair, but other than that, like everything about the kid seems great. My issue with him is the way he handles pressure, and I don't necessarily mean psychological pressure. I mean like pressure in the game, the instinctual physical reaction to, oh God, I'm gonna get hit. And I think part of it comes from his injuries for sure. I think also part of it comes from the theoretical Tyler Shuck that I think a lot of fans think of is this like pseudo dual threat guy who's this really good quarterback, and he's like a good mobile quarterback and a play extender. He wasn't that guy in college, and he's not going to be that guy in the pros. He's got nice straight line speed. Like if he gets out on a scramble or a designed run and gets a chance to go, he's a long strider. He gets up to speed. Like he will break some runs. That's no question there. His lateral agility, the tightness of his hips, the way he moves in space, his spatial reasoning recognition, like all those instinctual elements that make you good at, oh, this guy's going to hit me, spin out of it, make a guy miss, like extend play. He has none of that. When he starts doing things out of plan, he looks like a baby giraffe, and he plays like that. And that's my biggest concern with him, because when we saw him through preseason, when he was in shotgun and when he was in hurry up, were all the times he looked good. When he was under center, were all the times where he was late, indecisive, or panicked.
Sure.
And until I see him do those things with some amount of consistency, well, my concern with him, regardless of Rattler, like theoretical Spencer Rattler is a pretty damn good quarterback, but that's like full potential. It's theoretical at this point. It doesn't exist until he doesn't. My issue with Shuck is not, oh, he's better than Rattler or Rattler's better than him. It's these are things that you cannot be successful in the NFL if you cannot do. And Rattler does those things. So until Shuck does those, you either have one quarterback in Rattler or you have none, in which case, hey, be terrible and draft a guy next year. If he figures those things out, he's got decent arm talent. Actually, he's got really good arm talent. Decent is a massive undersell there. He's a decent athlete, like for the position and for the NFL. He's not a dual threat guy, never will be. I don't think he'll ever be like a scrambler. I think he's got a little bit of a problem. He thinks his arm is better than it is as far as like the off script sidearm throws, like some of that stuff. And again, like he's not alone in this. Like Baker Mayfield had that problem. When Baker first got in the league, Baker was like, "Oh, this is college. Like I'm surprisingly athletic for a white guy." And it was like, "Oh, no, actually, I should really stop. I should knock this shit off. You can't make those throws. You're not going to make those guys miss in the league, because all the best guys that were on the best teams that you played where you couldn't do that stuff in college, the league is full of those guys."
Yeah, and I think Tua has like the same issue where like he's like, like Tua coming out of college, to me, like, people wanted to say the biggest problem with Tua is like, oh, he's like not very athletic and he can't break the pocket. Fine. I said that's not the issue. The issue with him is he can't do those things, but he thinks he can. So he holds on to
Yes.
the ball a little bit longer and all that. But what you said about Shuck, I think it probably gets to the core of why I don't think he should start immediately. Because him, being a little skittish with pressure and having those instincts, it's not a unique problem. Like every quarterback in some capacity deals with it. Like, yes, you do have some general like freaks out there. Like, Joe Burrow's like somebody who like doesn't blink at pressure. Like he will step into like every throw and whatever. And I think that's also the main difference between Shuck and Rattler is like Rattler, like he'll take sacks, but man, if one thing you can't say about Rattler is no matter how bad the O-line was last year, he will stay in there and just take those licks. So I think that's the thing where like if you get him out there starting too quickly, starting in the NFL, when everything gets faster, all that happens, the biggest thing from like college to the NFL is what they say. It's like, yes, guys are bigger, faster, but it's speed, right? Like what was a linebacker running at you is now a D end. A D end is running like a college linebacker, and linebackers are running like college safeties. And when things get crazy and chaotic, what ends up happening, and this is true for every single quarterback in the league, Mahomes, Josh Allen, Burrow, Lamar, in times of chaos, you revert back to your worst habits. What makes the great quarterbacks great is that they do a good job of minimizing their bad habits.
Yes.
So they still revert to them, but it's not going to be to the point where it's noticeable. So you're always going to revert back to those habits. And the thing is, like any craft, right? If you keep doing something, it's eventually muscle memory. So if you get him out there and eventually he keeps getting skittish, you run the risk of that's just what he is now. Where like if you still maybe let him develop, let him watch.
It's like young Jameis.
Yeah, exactly.
Jameis went to a bad team with a bad roster and bad circumstances, and all of his bad habits from college became the norm, and then he just became an LOL player.
Yeah, and that's like kind of what he is now. Like, that's why with Jameis, like you're always going to get that weird YOLO throw, and like a good opposite version of that is Josh Allen. Josh Allen had Jameis traits coming out of college. He was not very accurate. Like people forget, Josh Allen, his first or second year,
he was like 56% in college. He was like, I think, in 58 his rookie year in the NFL.
But Josh Allen in a playoff game in the fourth quarter rolled out to his left and off his back foot threw to a fullback on a wheel route. Like, what are we doing? And like Josh Allen still, like, where we talked about like minimizing those bad habits, you see Josh Allen now do that maybe once every 5 games. Yeah. Where before he was doing that, maybe you'd count on it like once a game. But that's where like Josh Allen had good development coming out of college, where he could work on all those things and what have you. And so that's why we don't even think about Josh Allen and Jameis being in the same place. So similarly, like whatever Shuck's bad habits are, you don't want to, right now, because he's a rookie, it's all dry cement. So you can just like kind of gloss over it a little bit. You can mold it. But like the minute you start to put him in games, and this is true with any quarterback, the minute you start to put them in games, those habits become cement, basically. Yes. And once that happens, what happened with Sam Darnold this past year is not the norm as far as like quarterbacks, like what he was with the Jets and then what he became with the Vikings of being a more cool, calm, collected quarterback.
And even happen. With that, took incredible protection and
Justin Jefferson,
crazy amount of talent, like Jefferson, who's absurd, Addison,
Aaron Jones at the running back position.
He was in perfect circumstances, and even there, you saw
with
towards
Kevin
the end of the season. To your point,
Kevin O'Connell at OC.
End of the season, and you get into the playoffs. Those
worst
bad habits all came back because it's the same stuff we shut under pressure. He wasn't under pressure through the whole season, and then once the pressure happened, he went right back to, well, this is who you are.
Yeah, and so now whether Shuck can work past all that, I don't know. Every quarterback is different.
And anyone who says they know, you're full of it.
Yeah, we don't know, and like that's where it's like we're not saying Rattler is like without faults. And that's not what we're saying at all.
Not at all.
But like Shuck is the guy that they've invested in, so that's probably why we're spending more words on him than Rattler. But every QB coming out of college is going to have some sort of fatal flaw. Like every single one does. You know, there's very rare do you get like the Andrew Lucks of the world. And even Andrew Luck, his thing was like, I'm just going to hold on to the ball for 12 seconds sometimes, you know, like,
Luck had a lot of just because I can do his game. Like Mahomes, even Mahomes, like he like, it was like the only flaw with him was like a little too gunslingery.
And can he play in structure was like a big thing with him.
Well,
and then
a lot of people who didn't watch him said that. But like, if you really went in and watch it, like, yes, he can. He's actually really good in structure, but like, definitely had some gunslinger of like, but I can make that throw. Doesn't mean you should.
Sure.
But like, yeah, to your point, like even the most insane talented guys like have questions, have things to work on. Last quick thing I just want to say on Rattler, just because we did spend a lot of time on Chuck, and this is, again, like obviously admitting my own bias, like stylistically, I prefer the type of quarterback Rattler projects to be than Chuck, because I don't like high variance players at that position, especially if you're not a dual threat. Like Josh Allen was a high variance player, but he was so spectacular as a
elite runner.
It made up for his variance in the passing game. Cam Newton was like that. And Cam Newton, if we're talking dual threat, like he is the most talented dual threat guy we've seen outside of Michael Vick. And his running was so dynamic and so impactful and so reliable. The variance in the passing game was the impact of that was minimized. Unless you have that element, high variance quarterbacks, it's like you're always looking for that next step up. I think a lot of people view, not like, so there's some people that have just decided they don't like the guy, and that's fine. Like, I don't care. Like, if he becomes a proven commodity and you're still there, like, just take the fleur-de-lis off your shirt because you're clearly not a Saints fan. Shut the fuck up. But until he's a proven commodity, like, that's whatever. If he just completes that pass to Shaheed in yesterday's game, I think a lot of people's view of him is entirely different, because you're looking at, well, you played the Chargers, who was a really good team. Okay, being like, he executed, didn't make any mistakes, but also like didn't like wow you. Then you go against, you know, the Jags, has that second half really good, makes some great plays, threw the pick, which wasn't his fault. And even like the team, the coaches, but even the film says that's not his fault. Tipton fucked up the route. That's
Mason Tipton said it was.
Mason Tipton came out and said it, and he's 100% right. If you know that concept, yes, he needs to run. He ran the wrong leverage. You were on the outside shoulder, you need to be on the inside shoulder. Then it's not a pick. Like, period. Immediately goes down and gets it. Comes out against the starters for what's probably going to be a top 5 unit. Plays well, moves the ball. Juwan Johnson fucks up a drive, comes down again, next drive, throws a touchdown to Shaheed. Like, if that's the narrative, we have a completely different view. And this is my issue just with small sample sizes. If one throw changes your entire view of a player, that tells you don't have enough data. But also, on the flip side of that, I personally believe that was more of, he's not used to Shaheed's speed and game day speed. And it was like, I was trying to throw with anticipation, and he just was in front of where I thought he was going to be, because I just, like, you don't have, just like defenders can adjust to Shaheed's speed when it's game day without enough reps, the quarterback takes time to adjust to that too. I think that's as simple as it was. Like, it's just a misread or a misthrow. Like, you should have just put out 6 feet in front and it's a touchdown. But that one play changes the entire narrative. That's a little bit annoying just for me, but I'm also hyper analytical. But on the flip side, like, that's your responsibility. That's how tight the margins are in the NFL. Make that one throw, because the real starting quarterbacks, the guys that are cemented, make those throws consistently. That's why they're cemented. We're going to find out, you know, within the next couple of days. I think probably Tuesday, Kellen will name the starter, regardless of which guy it is. I don't think, and then we're gonna kind of transition over to like the team in general. Like, I will be pleasantly surprised. And by the way, folks, it will be pleasantly. I would love us to be better than I think we're going to be, but I think we're going to be feisty but awful. Because I don't think the offense is going to be very good, and I think the defense is going to try hard. But I also think what happened when Sean just decided, okay, cool, we're just going to throw to Cortland Sutton every down, and there's nothing you can do about it. I think all the good teams have an option where they can just go, you don't have the players do something about A, so I don't need to go options B through G. If I want points, I'm just going to spam A. And I kind of feel like it's going to be that simple. So my viewpoint for this season, and you can tell me in a second, like if you're on a different wavelength, but for me, it's like I don't even necessarily care about the wins and losses. I want wins within the margins. Ooh, this player looks fun and good for the next 5 years. Yay, that's a win. That's all I'm watching this season for.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. I mean, just like unequivocally, and I'm not even saying this to be funny or anything, but like this Saints roster as it is constructed is this is the worst roster in the NFL. Like just on paper, hashtag on paper, this is the worst roster in the NFL. Like if I was looking at it, you look at the Giants, like you'll take their receiving core and their front four. Those are both great units. Browns, Jerry Jeudy would be wide receiver 1 on this team.
Oh yeah.
Joe Flacco is a better option at quarterback than anybody we have right now. Myles Garrett is Myles Garrett. So like even the other teams like that are in the same neighborhood as us.
You look at the Colts, like their quarterbacks might be worse than ours, but the rest of their roster is not.
Rest of their roster, like they got players
so much better than ours. It's painful.
Yeah, like even just Jonathan Taylor, Josh Downs, Michael Pittman Jr. Like that's a good competitive set of weapons. So I think starting there, where this is the worst roster in the league. We won't do on this podcast how we got there. I think we know, but so I think, like you said, with that being said, if you still choose to watch and be invested in this team, what you're looking for is improvement from game to game, from quarter to quarter, play to play, and what have you. And usually you'd want that with your young guys, because essentially what that would tell me more than anything is that tells me the most about what Kellen Moore is as a head coach. If the takeaway, if all you could tell me after this season is that we had some young players just get better as the season went on, then that's going to be a success. And I mean, people want to dog on Kellen for everything he's not and what have you. Cool. I'm fine with that, and I'm not here to play organizational behavior psychologist, but
no,
you look at I think
wrong member of your family for that.
Yeah, right. even early returns, on Kellen, we said earlier, Shuck is getting better from game to game, practice to practice. That's a testament to Kellen Moore. People don't want to say that out loud, but that's a testament to Kellen Moore. Kendre Miller has looked better than he's ever looked, staying healthy, running hard. That has Kellen Moore does have to get some credit for that. And guys running around and trying to make plays, Kellen Moore does get a little bit of credit for all that. So
for the record, I also love that he got so feisty when Sean was fucking with him in yesterday's preseason game. I liked seeing that fire out of Kellen.
Yeah. And so I think, that's what you're looking for is you can't look at this team as a whole. You kind of have to look and squint and see, try to see the improvements. I don't have a child, but I imagine when you have a toddler does not become an awesome human all at once, right? A toddler from month to month gets better at, they didn't
cry.
Yeah, well, they didn't cry as long this time, right? They cried for 2 hours, but now instead of 1 hour. Now they've learned this concept of, putting themselves in the other person's shoes. That's kind of how the Saints have to be, where you kind of have to treat them like a child, where it's okay, they made this mistake in week 1 of doing an unnecessary roughness penalty. They were put in the same situation in week 4 and they didn't make that mistake. Those are kind of those granular areas of progress that you're looking for. So that's kind of a long version of the short version of what you said, where it's, improvement around the margins.
For sure. So I'm gonna leave just as far as the topics we're gonna cover today. I want to leave which players we're most excited about the season for last, just because I want to end on a positive note.
Sure.
So unfortunately, that means that we're going to talk about next. I want you to tell me what you think is the best position group on the team, and then the worst position group on the team. And you can't say it's a tie for every position group because that's cheating. And then I'll do the same.
Sure. Yeah. So if we're starting with best position group, I will zag a little bit on this one. Just because I am probably more excited about this position group and because I have a brand to upkeep. Because I'm not going to say offensive line, I'll let you say offensive line.
Oh, I'm not going to say offensive line.
Okay, well, the answer is probably offensive line, but I'm intrigued by the linebacker group because I think, like, DeMario's old, but he's still DeMario. And I think, like, DeMario gives you a floor of being top 15-ish in the league because, like, DeMario is still a great player. Like, he's not all pro anymore, but, like,
He's still
probably
very good.
He's still very good. Like, linebackers like him, like, age really, really well. Like, think about, like, Luke Kuechly was still an impact player in his very last year, So I think when you have him headlining, and then I think, the early returns on Danny Stutzman could be good. Jalen Ford made some plays in the preseason. Pete Werner, I am holding out that I think he will rebound a little bit because, like, I know we shit on Pete Werner a lot, rightfully, but, like, I saw what I saw his rookie season, and I saw a good player his rookie season. And I'm right now chalking up a lot of his regression to just being under the downward pressure of Dennis Allen, right? Like, no player got better under Dennis Allen. So I'm also wondering,
many
like,
got worse.
And a lot got worse. So I'm wondering now, like, just with all of those guys, like, you have a lot of, like, athletes, you have a lot of guys who can run around and kind of make plays. So I'm kind of going there. So I don't know if they're necessarily best as far as, like, they have all the best Madden ratings of anybody on the team, but I can definitely see that group kind of, not many people are talking about it, but I can see that group really kind of holding a feisty defense together. And especially, like I said, when you talk about, like, Stutzman, who's just been making plays, and and whoever fills in the rest of that group. But, like, Stutzman, DeMario, Pete can be a solid core, which is, like, kind of the ceiling right now with this team. So I'll let you go to your best group.
So I almost actually went with linebacker. The group that I decided on was my best group, placed slightly behind them. I actually think our safety group.
Yeah.
Before Sugar Possum retired, formerly known as the legend in all caps, Honey Badger, but in his later career,
shout out New Orleans legend, man. Shout out New Orleans legend, Tyrann Mathieu.
Absolutely, like, incredible player, incredible career. We got him on the tail end. He was not the same guy. It is what it is. So I jokingly call him Sugar Possum. He probably doesn't find that funny. He also has no fucking idea who I am, so I don't care. But him retiring was a blessing in disguise, and they got really lucky. Now, he's got to stay healthy, but Blackman fits this scheme incredibly well, and if on the field, is a really good player, and he brings ball skills, he plays hard, he's intelligent, he's got range. Like, there's all the things you want in a safety. Then you have Reed, who's not a 32-year-old player. Like, he's still, like, in the tail end of his prime. I think he's 28. Like, athletic peak is between 27 and 29 typically. Unless you're like LeBron or one of those, like, rare freaks where it's like you have, like, a 10-year peak. He's not one of those. There's only been a couple. But he's right in the tail end of that athletic peak. Really smart player, really good player. Like, he was legitimately a good signing. Like, obviously he came home. That was a huge part of it for him. He's already got his ring and whatnot. But, like, those two guys as the starters. But the reason why I'm willing to put that as my best position group is because of Sanger.
Interesting.
Sanger was the one guy, like, the weekend of the draft, when we knew all 9 picks, Sanger was the one guy where I watched them all and went, I think this guy's going to be an impact player. Because one of the things that I've been bitching about for a few years now is we don't draft playmakers. And it's been one of the key reasons why we've regressed so much as a team is we've got a lot of guys that can fit in. But when you don't have playmakers who elevate and create impact and create energy and create momentum, when you just got a bunch of guys and you're just not going to do very much or be very good. I love is like his athletic profile is spectacular. Like he's fantastic for a strong safety, great range, really good speed, great vertical, like very, very explosive, short area quickness. Like he's going to check all those boxes, but it's more the play style. Stuntsman has this too, for the record, which I was pleasantly surprised by. But the thing that Sanker brings that I think is going to have an impact for this team is he brings that CD Deuce element.
That was going to be my question to you. Is like, how would you what does he profile like for you? And
I see him as a strong safety.
How would you deploy him specifically?
Reed actually can do some of the like covering the tight end stuff. So like you can actually play three safeties because Reed can do a lot of that. I think Sanker can do some of it, but I think coverage wise, Reed is a better player at this point. But when I say the CD element, I don't necessarily mean like a 1-to-1. But what I do mean is he's one of those guys where he has three speeds. He has 100 miles an hour, 150 miles an hour, and go until I break something. There is no concept in his game of not going full speed. There's just full speed and then find another gear after that. And that is especially on the defensive side. Like you blow a guy up, even if it's like, oh, they gained 6 yards. Yeah, but you knock the shit out of them. You get to celebrate what's technically a negative play for the defense, and your teammates feed off of that. Mm-hmm. There is a psychological momentum, because that's really what momentum is in sports. It's very much psychological, and team sports is highly communal. Like you need those energy moments. You need those things to feed off of. You need that irrational confidence. They've gained 300 yards on us, and we're halfway through the second quarter. How the hell do we keep them from scoring 70? Sometimes it's one play where you blow a guy out of his damn cleats, and then everybody settles down, locks in, and then the game's totally different from that moment. We had no one on this team. DeMario 3 years ago was that guy, but he's not that guy anymore unless he's on a blitz. I really genuinely believe Sanker is going to be a guy 7 or 8 times throughout this season is going to make a play, and you're going to watch a shift in the performance of the defense immediately after it. I think he's going to be the energy guy. I also think he's going to be a really good player. But adding him to Reed and Blackman, who are veterans and very good safeties, that is the only position group on this team where I can go, I don't see a flaw. Doesn't mean they're elite all pros across the board, but I don't see a flaw. And that's why when I said I'm not going to say offensive line, because I see 2 flaws. One, Penning isn't healthy and Penning's an unknown. I believe in Penning at guard, but he isn't healthy or an unknown. And Ruiz is hot dog shit. He is terrible. He's been terrible his whole career. He had 1 season he wasn't terrible. He wasn't good. He was just not terrible. And then Mickey was like, pay him the money because Mickey's a moron. For all the shit Penning got last year, and for the record, he deserved a lot of it. Well, it magically made everybody forget that the guy next to him was actually worse. Worse. And somehow managed to dodge all slander, the same way he manages to dodge the people he's supposed to be blocking. So as long as Ruiz or Rabuns, but especially Ruiz, is a starter on the offensive line, I don't see how you can call it the best unit on the team because you have a critical failure.
Yeah, I think that's a fair take. I think that's a fair take. But I guess speaking of bad, I guess we'll move to the
since
worst.
I'm being negative, I'll tell you who what my worst position group on the roster is. And I genuinely believe this. Not only is this the worst position group on our roster, I think our version of this position group is the worst in the NFL, and it's not close.
Okay.
Tight end.
We are awful.
Just drippy brown noise out the back.
It's not even.
We don't have a blocking tight end. We don't have a receiving tight end. We don't have a chain. Like if you bucket out all the different archetypes of players you can have in that position group, we don't have a viable one of them. It's like, oh, well, there's Juwan. No, there's not, because Juwan isn't reliable health-wise. Juwan isn't reliable as a route runner. Juwan isn't reliable as a pass catcher. Yes, Kellen can scheme him open on some stuff, and then you get to literally just go roll the dice and hope it comes up 6s, but he catches it. He's not physical. He's not particularly athletic. We're not even going to start on the TikTok stuff. And he's your best player. Like, if we had Taysom,
quote unquote,
best player at the group. If we had healthy Foster, even though fuck that guy, and healthy Taysom, it wouldn't be the worst group on the roster. It'd be close, but it wouldn't be the worst because Taysom is such an impact player. He's a cheat code for whatever position group you put him in because he plays like 6 spots. And Foster's a semi-solid, reliable player. We don't have those guys. We won't have those guys for at least half the season. So, like, we've got Juwan and Refuge. I don't know how it's anything else, but you tell me if you have a different position.
No, that was going to be mine, and you pretty much nailed all of it. Because I think like the one thing about tight end, and the reason that you said it earlier of why this particular group is so bad is like, yes, they're not great receivers, but them not being good blockers, that's absolutely massive. Because like if they're not, you can work your way around a tight end group that doesn't really receive. I mean, it's still not a great thing to have, but if you don't have tight ends that can block very well, I think we have Jake Stoll, I think, who's a decent blocker and whatnot, but Juwan isn't a good blocker, and then horrible blocker. Like, so the thing is, like, tight ends, a good blocking tight end can transform your running game. Like, there was a reason that like Sean traded for Michael Humanamanui, like, who was a great, blocking tight end, and all the rushing numbers increased when we got him. So I think that's really like, yes, we don't have a Laporta, we don't have Brock Bowers, like whatever. A lot of teams don't, and a lot of teams don't have like dynamic tight end threats. So like, I want people to understand that it's not just because they're not super offensively gifted as far as catching the ball, because you could get by without that, but it's the fact that they don't run block, because that takes away a lot of what an offense wants to be successful, which is we want to be multiple. We want to keep the defense off balance, because like when you have a tight end that can at least block out there, then the defense does have to think, okay, is this a run or a pass?
Yeah,
like
your position, now, like your alignment isn't a tell.
Yeah, and so this is where, like, because we have tight ends that don't block very well, like they might still think, is it a run or a pass, but they're not going to be worried about a run. They're like, okay, well, all right, our corner can maybe hold up over there.
We're going to win that matchup.
Exactly. Yeah. If I was to give a second place, if I was to give a second place, and I would say it's a distant second, because I do think tight end is like close to the bottom. There's like I said, not even league average. None of our tight ends would start for any other team. A lot of our tight ends wouldn't make another team. Like, it's that dire. Weirdly, and I hate to say this, but it might be running back for me right now. And it doesn't have to be that for the whole season. AK is awesome. Don't get me wrong. AK is awesome. AK is 30. AK is 30. I like the days of him being top 10 premier running back are over. It doesn't mean he's a bad player, but like he's all we got right now. And to me, that's like not enough.
Yeah. You don't believe in the Kendre Renaissance?
Well, so here's the deal. Like, one of the reasons is like, I just don't know. Because, so if you really think about it, like a lot of my arguments for linebacker being the best, you could probably apply to running back. DeMario, AK, and then you have all these other guys. But all the other guys at running back, like, I just haven't seen enough. And it's not even so much that they're not great. I just don't know what the ceiling of this running back group is.
Yeah, it's just so you're just make sure I understand. Like, kind of your position is like it's a giant group of unknowns and 30-year-old AK, and so like hypothetically, Kendre might be like really good and really talented. He's never played 2 games in a row.
Right, and so that's where it's like I'm not going to bet on that. And I think for this running back group to be better, it needs to be a committee thing because AK is 30. Give me 3 years ago, AK, and if you told me I had AK and nobody else, I would not be saying this. You swap out AK for, I don't know, like Joe Mixon, Saquon Barkley, somebody just younger and more in their prime, I think it's fine because like running back is the type of position where if I just have one guy, they can just carry the whole thing. But Alvin Kamara can't carry the whole thing, and nor should he
and
have
especially
to
not at 30.
this, and not at 30. He can't do it at 30. So that's where it's like, I don't know like if worst is the best one, but when I look at like all the offensive places, you already touched on tight end. Olave's in his prime, Rashid's in his prime. Cool. I look at the offensive line, at least I'm looking like I got 2 franchise level bookend tackles. I kind of took quarterback out of this conversation when we're doing it. So like
the quarterback technically is probably the worst position because we're probably 31 or 32 in the league.
Yeah.
But they're also 2 giant unknowns, so that's not really fair.
Yeah. And so, and like that was like probably the cop-out answer. And so then I look at every other spot, like maybe you could have said corner would be maybe another spot like where you just have
or defensive end.
Or defensive end. But I think like, I think Creep and Chase Young at least is league average at the end. Like,
or approaching it, And
approaching
at least looks
average.
like he's solid.
Yeah, so I think like,
so I think
running back. Yeah, so I think like said running back, it's probably not the right answer, and I'm like prepared to get like flamed for that answer, but I just don't like the makeup of it. And I think right now there's still too much being put on Alvin Kamara. We could get done with 17 games, and Kendra is awesome, and Kendra is, more souped up Mark Ingram by the end of the year, and I'll walk everything back. But until then, at this moment on August 24th, 9:16 Eastern time, I can't say that about this group, and they're one Kendre Miller injury away.
And that's a thing that never happens.
Yeah, exactly. And then after that, what do we have? Like, we just have replacement, like legitimately replacement level guys.
You have UDFAs and other teams cast offs like Vilas. And look, Vilas was nice in the preseason, but also like you were available for a reason.
Yeah, and Vilas wouldn't make most of the other rosters. So I think it's like not only is it like AK doesn't
one of
bring
the deepest running back drafts never mind. We should.
So that's where it's like AK isn't at 30, isn't giving you the top 5 running back ceiling anymore. And then you don't have the depth. And then the depth you do have, I don't know how high the ceiling of that depth is.
No, I think that's all fair. So like we said, we're gonna end on positive. I know we've alluded to a few of them. They can be rookies, they can be second-year guys, they can even be a few of the vets. Basically, the cutoff for this would be anyone who's got no shot at being on the team 3 years from now is not eligible. Outside of that, we can just kind of go back and forth. Give me players you're excited to see what they can be in like for the season. Like these are potential building blocks for roster. Give me your first guy.
Yeah, give me Rashid Shaheed, man. Like, I think you look at Rashid Shaheed, and he brings an elite skill set. Like, to this, he has a skill set that all 32 teams in this NFL would love to have. And that's just that elite speed. And you've mentioned it in Discord. It's not just the runs of 4.2. It's the game speed. Like, he is fast in practice. That practice looks fast in games. He is fast immediately, changing directions. And I think he is more than just a go route guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think he's more than just a go route guy. And so he's the type of guy, like, I might be a little hyperbolic, but like he could be the best receiver on this team, like by the end of this season. Like, I think Olave brings like a different skill set, but like you just can't teach Rashid's speed. And like that is the one thing on this roster that like maybe a defensive coordinator at this moment has a headache about going into a game. When you're game planning for the Saints, the one thing a defensive coordinator is thinking is like, we cannot get beat deep by that guy. Like, we got to make sure we're on our P's and Q's because he is that fast. And like, I don't have like a whole survey of like the entire league right now, but I would probably venture to say he's in the top 10 of fastest receivers. Like, he is up there, like, has to be, right? Like, so I don't know, like, you know, if he was to race, you know, Tyreek, Child Abuser Hill or anything like that. I don't know if he was to race him or like maybe like, you know, you got your Jalen Waddles up there, but like
I think he might be Waddle.
Yeah, and so he is a guy that I really do like believe that could jump into that area. And like receiver in 2025 is so stacked. So I can't say top 15 because there's so many guys. Like we did this exercise at Discord where you just start
who's your quarterback? What offense are you in? Like How are we
Yeah, and I
measuring
just
it?
think,
Receptions,
yeah, and
touchdowns,
he's
yards.
and
Like
he is going
it's
to be
complicated.
and he is going to be a weapon for whoever it is, and that
Yeah.
speed is just going to be so important. Just for if we're going to do anything, it might be predicated on like Shaheed being healthy and him taking that step, and I think he has that in him.
I love you picking Shaheed. So I'm going to make a very nerdy parallel, and then I'm also going to say something that's super hyperbolic about Shaheed. Fully expecting to get roasted for it if it doesn't work its way out, but I don't care. Shaheed is the fucking Gohan of this team.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is when healthy, when available, with a quarterback who isn't ass, dude is unstoppable. Full potential Shaheed just wins. That's what we saw those first two games last year. Like those first two games, you can break everything down to two things. No one can fucking cover Shaheed, and Taysom Hill as a singular force just used to create chaos for the defense made it impossible to cover Shaheed because the entire scheme was the safeties must come down because they're worried Taysom will get ball. When the safeties come down, the play is over and we get touchdowns. And it was just that simple. And we looked like the greatest offense in the history of the NFL, which would have been the 2011 Saints. But anyway, like that's Shaheed. And then here's the hyperbolic thing. I think there is actually a great comp for the player Shaheed could be. And I think there's a lot more parallels between them than people are going to initially think about. The best version of Rashid Shaheed is Deshaun Jackson.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
And there's a very specific reason why I make that parallel. Shaheed in college, the thing that got him to the Saints was that he was a spectacular punt and kick returner.
Okay.
The punt return skill set is all about being able to read space. It's obviously speed, but it's specifically that ability to read, but it's the lateral agility and movement skills to navigate within traffic. That plus the ability to just go, hey, run a go, like to quote one dumb motherfucker, run, just run. Like
Just
that
run.
skill set plus the joystick ability to maneuver in traffic. That's what made Deshaun Jackson special. He wasn't just crazy fast. It was he's so fluid in space and so agile. That was what made him so devastating. And Shaheed has that same element. It's the combination of the two together that makes me really draw that parallel. If he's fully healthy for a season, there is no reason he can't be a modern day Deshaun Jackson.
Yep.
He has a lot of the same skill sets. I think they're even roughly around the same size. The question for me is like, can he have a full healthy season? So I have no issue with that one at all. I'm going to pick a guy, and then we've talked about a couple of the rookies, obviously. Sanker and Stunsman are both like really looking forward to them, and we can talk about them a little bit more if we want to. But the one vet guy I'm really interested to see this year, and to me, it's very much to a large degree, it's kind of his final chance. Like I love the term like full potential. This guy doesn't need to hit full potential. 70% of full potential Chase Young is a Pro Bowler.
Oh no,
Because
you're gonna do it. You're going there.
I'm not predicting it. I'm not predicting it because if you predict it, I think you have to make predictions based on past track record, and that does I don't think that exists for him.
Oh man, you're gonna sound like every defensive coach right now. All right, let's do it.
As far as guys I'm interested in, where okay, but what if? He's never going to be the player he projected and could potentially be when he was taken number 2 overall. And I think a lot of that is because, like, yeah, he's a freak athlete. He's explosive as hell. He looks like a damn Terminator. Like, I get where the nickname came from. He's not fluid enough as an athlete to ever be that echelon of pass rusher. He's not going to be Myles Garrett, even though he's got similar athleticism, because that fluidity is something that they don't really test as much, and it's the key differentiator. However, he could be a 10 to 12 sack a year guy just by being less dumb. He's a very dumb pass rusher. He does dumb shit. He reads leverage poorly. He over pursues. Some of that has been coaches putting him in bad spots. Some of it has been injuries. Some of it has been laziness. Some of it is not wanting to be coached, clearly. Like, there's a bunch of The gumbo of failure that is Chase Young up to this point has many ingredients. But this is his last shot. This is the first team to not give up on him. They took a flyer on him last year. Now, obviously, they re-signed him because they had no other options. But for his perspective, they believed in me. They wanted me back. They believe I can do it. That might just be enough to make him actually listen to coaching and develop to 70% of full potential. And that's a really impactful player. And so that's something I'm excited to watch this year is, can he be one of those guys that has the light bulb turn on halfway through his career and becomes a pretty damn good player? Or is he just on that large landfill of failure?
No, okay. You got me a little intrigued. And I'm probably in the camp of like he is who he is, but I can also appreciate the psychological lift of not being given up on, and like he's going to be looked to on this team as like one of the leaders of this team. Yeah. Like I could see the psychological lift, and maturity is a thing. Like it's crazy. Yes. Like the fun thing to do with Chase Young is to always look up how old he is, and like he's like,
because I think he's like 25. He's younger than Chuck.
Yeah, it's absurd. Like I think I'm gonna look it up real quick right now. Like he is 26 years old.
Yeah, literally like, younger than Chuck.
Yeah, and he's been in the league forever. So younger it's just like one of those, like, so that's where it's like, that's the tantalizing thing though about Chase Young, right? Like, it feels like he's been 26 or like, it feels like
he's NFL Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, I feel like he was 24 for 3 years. Yeah, I feel like he was 24 for 3 years, like legitimately, like, so, yeah. So for me, same unit. I'm going Brian Bresee, where I just think so. He's going into his third year, I think, right now. I mentioned earlier with Pete Werner, like the downward developmental pressure of Dennis Allen and everything that they did, and then Cam Jordan said on a podcast that Todd Grantham is like literally the worst defensive line coach or worst coach he's ever experienced. And we're talking about like he came into the league.
Cam is so obnoxiously toxically positive. He has good things to say about Bosque.
Yeah,
and he said that about
he said Todd Grantham is like just that awful. So if I put it in the landscape of he came into a situation where not a whole lot of talent on the unit, and then not a whole lot of coaching either, and then you have Dennis Allen. It hasn't been really a hotbed for being able to be successful. But despite that, he's flashed and he's been disruptive.
Still had 7 sacks.
Yeah, and so that's where like you look at his athletic profile, and it's like a top 5% athletic profile in the league as far as just like how large he is and how he moves at that size. So I'm looking at him now. You bring in Devon Godshaw, who can do the gross work, which is absorb these double teams and all that. The stuff that kind of takes a little bit of discipline, you have Godshaw do all that. You have him do all the grown-up stuff. So now Bresee can kind of vibe and be athletic. And I just wonder, like, with now that he's going to get some modicum of coaching, of whether, like, this just disruptive force can really start to make an impact. Like, I think there's a potential that Bresee, by the end of the season, he has the potential to be the best player on this defense and possibly like just the lifeblood of this defense. And it's not even, it's more just kind of like that athletic profile. Like that athletic profile, if he can hit on that, it's similar to Chase Young. Chase Young has a lot of God-given ability that Carl Granderson, no matter how hard he works, will not be able to get some of the characteristics that Chase Young has. Breesy's the same way, where it's just like being that large and being that nimble and good with your hands and all that. The tools are all there for him to just be so disruptive. Like there aren't many like non-Philadelphia Eagle guards that are going to know what to do with somebody like him, you know?
There's a great expression that actually applies to him. Hard work beats talent, except when talent works hard.
Yep. And so, and that's where it's like, I feel like he's worked hard, but just like with no guidance.
Bad coaching. I think Like, oh, he's
coaching,
terrible in the
bad
run
guidance.
game, and it's like, what if he's being coached to do the wrong shit?
And that's where like when you hear terrible in the run game. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some D linemen that are just not good in the run game, but a lot of run game stuff is tied to coaching because run game is all about assignments. You have to be here. This is where you have to be. I don't care if the ball is there. Your responsibility is this
you
gap
play
right
this
here.
leverage in this gap. You move this guy.
Yeah.
You play. Are you inside or outside? Are you like?
And so that's where it's like if
you got to do what
like,
you did right, and the guy next to you has to do what he did right. Otherwise, that's how a lane happens. Looking at you, Ruiz.
So that's where like everybody, where I want to more say that the run defense was a collective failure from everybody.
Yes.
Because like it's not like everybody was in the right gap and he's the one who effed up.
And then our linebackers and safeties were slow and ass, and so it was like, it should have been 7 yards, and instead it went for 45.
Yeah, like there are some players that are like kind of beyond help when it comes to the run game. Yes. Like a good example is like Quan Alexander. Like Quan Alexander went through multiple systems, great player, dynamic player, but good Lord, like in the run game, like it's almost like he refused to be where he was supposed to be, even though he could get there faster than
Quan was like a bad quarterback in that, like, I have a pre-snap read. I'm shooting this gap at this spot as hard and as fast as humanly possible. And when I guess right, oh my God.
It looks awesome.
Awesome play. We love Quan. And when it goes wrong, that whole side of the field is open and the guys running the other way and Quan's sitting there going, darn.
Yeah. And so that's where, like, with Bresee, like, also just, like, I think part of it is, like, I think he's going to be used properly because despite his size, I don't think he's a one-tech. I don't think he profiles as, like, a Vince Wilfork space eater one-tech, though he can do these things. And so I think that could be a mistake that coaches just – and that's a mistake that coaches could do where, like, that's where, like, I do think Staley kind of maybe knows what he's doing where it's like, okay, no, let Godshaw be this whatever, and Bresee is going to be best.
Yeah, Godshaw's going to run the zero. He's going to line up head up on the center and two gap.
And then you let Bresee be an agent of chaos.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm hoping we see out of him. And I think it can happen.
No, I fully agree with that one. I'll give another one I'm interested in. And it's funny because we talked about him earlier. And all of this, like, again, everybody, this whole list of guys we're going to run through, and we'll kind of wrap this up in a few because we're going to run out of guys we're really excited to watch here pretty quick. All of this these are the guys we want to see if they can be foundational pieces for the future. Because when you're one of the worst teams in the league, it's not like this guy's going to carry us to the playoffs. No. It's this guy might be a part of a playoff run in 3 years. And that's actually Kendre Miller.
Oh no.
So it's funny because I can be toxically negative, but I can also be toxically positive about things if I want to spin a certain way.
I wish I had you as a teacher, man. So.
Oh no, you would actually. It depends what I'd be teaching. Yeah. Laziest teacher on earth. Watching a lot of videos. Everybody gets in that, but so the reason why Kendre's a watch guy for me is like the last 2 years he wouldn't have been because it wasn't just that he was hurt all the time. It was every report, all the things we knew, the things we hear in the Discord and other places, the stuff that gets reported. You can't be dumb, lazy, and injury prone, and I'm going to find something to be optimistic about. Like that's not going to happen. That's absurd. At that point, you're just being a dumb fan, and I have no problem with the fan part, but I refuse to be dumb. But this year, now he might still be dumb, but like running backs do not need to be fucking Aristotle. It can actually be as simple as 7 plays. It's hit this gap. We're not going to put you in pass pro because we don't trust you there. But
he's been good in pass pro though. This preseason,
I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying, like, as a thing, it's like if you have this weakness, it's like, okay, but he's good at these things. We're just going to ask him to do these things. Can you hit the gap and get positive yards, read your lanes, and go? And are you athletic enough to get production out of that? And Kendre, when healthy, does those things better than any other guy on the roster. So the question for me is, because there was a lot of soft tissue stuff, which is also where a lot of like the lazy allegations and all of that came from. It's like, you're not doing the prep. You're not acting like a pro. Well, if he had the light bulb turn on and he put in the work You don't have a lot of things in your past that should be like nagging, recurring injuries. There's no reason why you can't be healthy unless like you're just not built for it, which we're going to find out. But if healthy, Kendre is a very intriguing player because the one thing that'll really, really, really help a young defense and rookie or close to rookie quarterbacks is a reliable run game. And one of the things that helps a run game be reliable is a guy that can rip off 25, 40-yard plays. AK's not that guy. Kendre is. And having the guy where it's like the defense makes one mistake and all of a sudden you're already in field goal range and now you can play a different game and you can run a different tempo, that has a huge impact. So I'm very interested in seeing what happens with Kendre this year. Now, you can also completely fail spectacularly and spend another weekend at fucking Shishi's and, all of a sudden Kendre's hurt again and, like, we're having the same conversations. But that's why it's a wait and see.
Yeah, the exciting thing about Kendre is if he can come into that role, for me, is what it can do for Alvin Kamara, where we can finally start to use him the way that he's supposed to be used, where, like, 10 rushing attempts, but then he's getting 5 receptions. Because what a good Kendre can do is improve your receiving core, because now you can get Alvin Kamara as wide receiver 3. And then you're starting to – now you have something where you can play Kendre and AK at the same time. And also, if you can play them at the same time, it maybe minimizes the grossness at tight end that you have, because then at that point, your 4 eligible receivers are Olave, Shaheed, AK, Kendre, and whatever, Cooks, Vele, whoever you want to do. So I think it just allows another dimension if he can be good,
Yeah.
And I'll say this one quick, and I'll say this one quickly just because it's at the end, and I do have a brand to hold up, but I mean, you have to say Kelvin Banks, man. Like, he's been, I mean, I still hate that he's on the team because I didn't want him at 9. I still don't want him at 9. I've already made my bed that we have the next Jonathan Ogden, and I'm just going to dislike him his entire career. But you can't deny, like, what he's been. He has been plug and play at left tackle. He has given up basically, like, no pressures. And, like, the exciting thing about him is, like, this season is not going to be anywhere close to his ceiling. Like, the main thing is, like, you look at him and you look at his body, and, like, there is
Big boy.
There is a lot of frame to be filled in there. And he still has play strength. That's the big thing. Like, he's still very, very strong.
Yeah, he's not Ruiz where he's just kind of big for nothing and doesn't get pushed. Like, he's not a dancing bear. He's got some grizzly in him.
He is strong, and, like, he is still young, and I can see, like, one NFL offseason he builds into that frame.
Yeah, he's going to put on 15 and be a problem.
Yeah, and so you want to talk about cornerstones for a team. Him, along with Fuaga on the other side, like, he is one. He has the potential to be a set it, forget it. We have our left tackle. He could
be a Laramie, like what Tunsil was for a long time, or pick it. Yeah, I'm going for like a similar draft slot.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't want to invoke like Willie Roaf, but just because he was also a Saint, but like, just you put him over there and like that's
maybe
it.
Not Hall of Famer just yet, but
but I mean, like a lot of that thing is what's like O linemen. A lot of there are like O line is hard, but there are like a good amount of O linemen in history that were like good immediately, and it's like not a fluke. Like
Ramczyk.
Ryan Ramczyk, good immediately.
Street got hurt. He got played earlier than we expected, and like was elite from day one until that knee went out.
And so sometimes like you just see it with guys like Joe Thomas. Obviously, like you just saw it, and it's like, oh, he's good immediately. Trent Williams, good immediately. I'm not saying that Kelvin Banks is going to be any of those guys yet, but I think we are going to be in a place where like we have our left tackle. And I wouldn't be surprised if by like week 5, week 6, the game plan basically becomes, and this goes back to not having good tight end blocking. We might just be able to say it might be a necessity that Kelvin Banks, you got that side over there, you're by yourself, dude.
Banks, Penning, McCoy. We know Ruiz sucks. We don't care. We're running left, and you can't do shit about it.
Yeah, and then in pass pro, it's like I think he's going to have to grow up fast because we don't have a tight end that can chip over there. We don't have good running backs in pass pro, whatnot. So there's probably going to be a lot of yeah, Calvin Banks, there's Michael Parsons over there. You might have to just go do that shit by yourself on some snaps, you know? And so I'm excited I guess I'm as excited as I can be for an offensive lineman. Like, you know, all joking and hating aside on him, like the Saints got themselves a player with Calvin Banks.
The way they drafted him, he absolutely has to be a home run.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I didn't want to bring
is
that
crippling.
up, you know.
However, all signs currently point towards he may be a home run.
Yeah.
In which case, like, the reward offsets a lot of the opportunity cost. I'll still go down as 40 and 71 were the two picks in this draft I think we fucked up on. I wanted 6 guys before Banks at 9 for all the same reasons you did. Mm-hmm. But I can understand the logic. Unless Shuck ends up being a multi-time Pro Bowler and a great starter, you fucked up at 40 and 71. But we
can debate that one on a different.
But we're ending positive. So I'm going to give one more guy because we already talked about Stuntsman, we already talked about Sinker. There's one more guy, young guy on this team that I am actually really excited by, and like I really want to see how he goes. Now, okay, so young is kind of in quotation marks because he's 27. I actually do really like I don't like the cost because Mickey's a fucking idiot. But the trade for Vele.
Okay.
And look, he passed his physical, which is a great first sign. It's also a physical done by Ochsner, so maybe not as great as it could be. But if that knee is okay, the archetype of player that he is, if we want Shaheed to be Deshaun Jackson, if we want Olave to be just this unguardable, route-em-up guy that can beat you at all 3 levels and is like a nice security blanket for the quarterback, the one thing you have to have for those guys to shine in the best way they can is you need someone who can win over the middle and win in short to intermediate areas with size because of what that forces defenses to do with coverage and what it allows quarterbacks to do, a.k.a. extend the goddamn drive. And that being a missing element on the roster is borderline crippling unless you literally are the best running team in the league. Like that's what the Eagles had last year, except they also had great tight ends.
And AJ Brown.
Well, yeah, no, I mean I just mean like schematically. Yeah, AJ Brown is fucking awesome. But just like for that part of the game, it's like, well, you have the tight ends, but also you had the running game. So none of it mattered because you had the running game. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have a dominant running game, you need guys who can go, hey, we need 6 yards. Go get 6 yards. And we saw that in the last game. Like they tried that with Cooks, and Surtain was like, seriously? The throw was perfect. It's a perfect throw. It's a great route. He's 5'10". I've met him. We've been on a basketball court together. Trust me, he's 5'10". We're the same size. Well, we're the same height. I weigh a lot more because I like pizza. But like, we are the same size. Surtain was just like, yeah, no. Vele brings that element. If he's literally no improvement, didn't get better, he's 27, he peaked as a player. If he's the exact same guy he was last year in Denver, in New Orleans, that's a massive improvement for this roster. And I don't think a certain segment of fans who are stuck on pessimism, which I occasionally am a member of, really fully understand just how impactful a chain mover is for the rest of this roster as far as the talent, but also those 2 quarterbacks, high variance quarterback and a gunslinger by archetype, who both tend to throw high. Well, throwing high for a 6-foot wide receiver and throwing high for a 6'5" wide receiver with long arms is a different thing. So Vele is the last guy for me of if he can be that same dude, I really think, as much as I hate to give him credit and he's still overpaid because he's a fucking moron and Sean just no-looped him once again, that could end up being a good trade by Mickey.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I have nothing to add there.
Don't drop. But not the weights, because people who drop weights at the gym are assholes. unless you're lifting a number where everybody sees what you lifted and goes, damn, then you're allowed to drop the weights because you might not have been able to control it on the way down. Everybody else, stop dropping weights. You're a douche.
PSA right there.
Looking at you, CrossFitters. Looking at you.
Nice.
We all know the exact people I'm referring to.
Oof. Took a stray for no reason. They weren't even part of this, man.
No. They took it straight for a reason because they can't stop telling everybody about their CrossFit and their veganism. So I'm going to give them strays and tell them the exact opposite. But from my fat ass.
Fair enough. So,
but yeah, so that is, obviously we didn't go through the whole roster because that would have been a 6-hour podcast, but that's kind of how we feel about everything going into the season. Now, what will of course happen is we'll be hilariously wrong on half of this in one direction and hilariously wrong on half of it in the other direction because that's how shit works. But it was fun. We hope you guys enjoyed it. And it is always a blast having Bijon come on here and show me what it would be like to have good hair because I never will.
Much appreciated. And it is real. So the headband does not cover anything. It is real. So
the hair is real. The takes are real. And the views are real. Make sure you guys leave real comments. I'm going to stop making real puns. Otherwise, someone's going to beat me.
Fair enough, man. Yeah, it was great doing this.